Hello space fans, welcome to Space Command. My name's Brian. Happy Friday. Hey, this special broadcast is for the Spacex Starlink mission, which was scheduled for today, January 3rd, and it was scheduled to lift off tonight. Unfortunately, because of the weather conditions, they've had a few changes to the schedule, so that's why I'm coming to you early with this broadcast so we can discuss those changes. And first, let's talk about some space weather. Well, as I mentioned to you in the video or the broadcast earlier, right now the moon is in the waxing phase, and January 3rd, which is today, through the 4th, you can catch tonight the quadrantids, am I pronouncing that right? Quadrantids meteor shower, which could be the most amazing shooting star event of the year, with its amazing display of bright fireball meteors. There'll be more than 100 shooting stars, which should be visible per hour. However, the event is a short window of only a few hours per night, so you've got to catch that at the right time. The quadrantids are a notable event because, unlike most other meteor showers, which originate from comets, the quadrantids originate from an asteroid called 2003 EH1. So check that out. With Mars weather, the date is Sol 2619, and the high temperature today will be -5 degrees Fahrenheit. The low temperature, -106 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind speed is 4 miles per hour out of the east. And right now we've got a UV radiation index of high. So the radiation is high on Mars today, so that is of notable concern. The sunrise was at 5:42 this morning, and the sun's going to set at 5:28 this evening. So, well, I do want to mention, I want to remind you, like I always do, hey, it's been 3,088 days since the last time that the United States has been able to send U.S. astronauts from American soil to space on U.S. spacecraft. Since that time, we've had to use the Russian Soyuz capsule to launch our astronauts to the International Space Station and back. The last time we were able to do that from American soil was with the Space Shuttle Atlantis. And once it landed and retired, and is now on display at the Kennedy Space Center. So we've been using the Russian Soyuz capsules to send our astronauts to space, and that's costing us about $86 million per seat. $86 million a seat. That's incredible. Well, we are looking forward to this new year, 2020, where we have been promised by NASA and SpaceX and Boeing that we're going to be able to send U.S. astronauts to the International Space Station on board U.S. spacecraft. So that's very exciting, and we're really looking forward to that. All right. Well, as I mentioned in our last broadcast, I promised to keep you up to date on the upcoming SpaceX Starlink launch, which was scheduled for launch tonight at 10:14 Eastern Standard Time. And unfortunately, as predicted, with the 60% probability for bad weather, the launch has been delayed. However, not to Saturday, January 4th, as we previously announced, but this has been delayed until Monday, January 6th, at 9:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. That's going to launch from Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, so that hasn't changed. The weather for Monday looks like a 90% chance for a go launch. So that's terrific, good news. So the bad news is today we won't be broadcasting the Starlink launch this evening because it's been rescheduled for Monday. So I did want to bring that news to you right away. I thought we might just spend a little time here this morning and discuss the Starlink missions that SpaceX has put together. And of course, in this new year, 2020, SpaceX plans on launching 2 Starlink missions per month. So that's pretty exciting, and we should get some great views of the Falcon 9 launches, bringing those Starlink satellites into orbit. They take about 60 different satellites up each time. That's about the maximum they can take. Uh, each Starlink satellite weighs about 573 pounds each. So that's quite a bit. And if you think about they're taking 60 of them up on each launch, that's incredible. That's a lot of weight. This Starlink launch will bring the total in-orbit Starlink constellation to 180 operational satellites. That's quite a few. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, has approved SpaceX to operate 12,000 broadband satellites. SpaceX has plans to eventually launch a whopping 42,000 Starlink satellites. Can you imagine that? 42,000 Starlink satellites orbiting the Earth? What is that going to look like? I do not know. Well, at 60 satellites per launch, that would require 700 Falcon 9 launches to achieve that goal of 42,000 satellites. And if SpaceX plans for 2 launches per month with the Falcon 9 rocket, it would take 29 years to fully realize SpaceX's goal of 42,000 Starlink satellites. 29 years. Well, fortunately, SpaceX has a contingency plan for increasing the rate of these launches, or the rate of these satellites being positioned in orbit with their new Starship. That Starship that they're building in Boca Chica, Texas, is promised to be able to deliver 400 satellites to orbit. 400 of these Starlink satellites with the Starship. And that's what we're going to need to be able to complete this satellite constellation in a timely manner. Otherwise, like I said, 29 years with the Falcon 9 rocket launching all these satellites, that is just kind of a unrealistic plan. But with the Starship, hopefully, as it gets completed and then operational, we'll start delivering 400 satellites to orbit each time. So that'll be terrific. That's what we need. Well, let's see here. What are some other goodies? Well, the cost for constructing this constellation of satellites is projected to be about $10 billion. So that's quite a bit. The Starlink broadband internet service promises to deliver worldwide low latency, high speed internet service. And in return, SpaceX hopes to bankroll its plans to colonize Mars and build the first Martian cities. So that's what this is all about. That's why SpaceX is going forward with this Starlink satellite internet project, because they think that the revenues from the monthly subscriptions for the satellite internet service is going to help bankroll the colonizing of Mars. Unfortunately, while all this sounds great, one group of scientists worldwide, world over, are very upset with the prospects of this plan succeeding, and that is the thousands of astronomers and the millions of amateur stargazers worldwide. Just imagine what our sky might look like with 42,000 Starlink satellites orbiting the Earth. Are these satellites going to block the view? What are the ramifications of 42,000 satellites orbiting our planet? With 42,000 orbiting satellites, are there collision risks in the future for future launches which could endanger our astronauts? These are questions that we need to have answers to. SpaceX assures us that space is really big, and it's big enough to handle the Starlink system, and further states that lowering the reflectivity of these satellites and their solar panels will serve to alleviate the fears of astronomers that their work would be affected by the Starlink system. And SpaceX assures us that they're working on the problem. So we'll see. Well, I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to just mention to you about the change of the date for the Starlink mission to Monday. So tune in for that. We're going to cover that with the broadcast for the Starlink launch on the Falcon 9 rocket. And hey, it's the weekend, so I hope you're able to relax and have a great weekend in this new year, 2020. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday for when we'll cover the Starlink launch. And thanks for joining us. Hey, if you like this video, click like. And if you want to see more, click subscribe. All right. Thank you.